Hello, good morning, good evening, or depending where you are, I hope you're having a great day. We'll get started in a second while we wait for others to join, but welcome to our live session, Mpower's live session. It's great to have everyone here. So I see the participant number jumping pretty high. So if this is your first Mpower live session, a quick few reminders. One is that to ask us questions, and we love your questions, you should see a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to ask us questions at any point throughout this session. You can do it now, you can do it later. You can ask us many questions as you'd like. We have chat moderators here today to help answer your questions live, or answer your questions in the chat box, and we'll take some of your questions and also answer them live. And it looks like we have a healthy number of participants here, which is great. So we can go ahead and jump in. But today's live session is about how to fill out the Mpower loan application. And so my name is Claire Almand. I'm a marketing manager here. I've been at Mpower a little over 5 years now, actually, which is time flies. And one thing that's always really stood out about Mpower is that we're a really passionate team of globally minded students and former international students that want to make financing education and access to education more affordable and more accessible for future international students around the world. And so it's today with me, I have Shuba and Rini, who are our student loan experts. They know more than me, certainly. And so I'm really excited to have them today to review how you can fill out a really strong loan application. For those that just joined, if you have questions, I see some hands raising. Please go ahead and use the Q&A function to drop questions throughout the entire session. And we'll get back to you either live or one of our chat moderators will jump right in. So before we get started, I'm going to send out a poll so we can learn a bit more about you. So launching that now. Great. And so while everyone takes a second to fill out our poll that just went to everyone, I'm going to have our esteemed panelists introduce themselves. And so Shuba, I'm just going to start with you. Do you mind telling the audience a little bit about your journey to Mpower and why you work here?
Sure, definitely. I'm very happy to be part of this webinar today. So I've been associated with Mpower for the past 3 years, and I'm happy and proud to say that I've been able to help a lot of students fulfill their dreams. So that's something which I'm very happy to be part of Mpower, and the mission to support students to pursue their education is something which definitely connects with me as well. Though I do not have the experience, or I did not have the opportunity at that time when we graduated to have a company like Mpower. So this is something which is very helpful for students to pursue and their dreams and achieve their dreams.
Thanks, Shuba. So Rini, no surprises, same question. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Hello, everyone. So I am Rini. I have been with Mpower for 2 years almost. I am the team lead for underwriting. I've had experiences in all credit underwriting and finance products, ranging from retail to corporate banking. But education loans has been the most close to my heart and has been most satisfying working with Mpower, because every day we know we are helping students make their dreams come true. And on that note, I have a lot of friends who have migrated to US and Canada and in many different countries and have faced issues. And I used to be an aspiring international student myself, but I wish I had Mpower around when I graduated and wanted to move abroad. But I'm glad to be here and to be a part of this webinar and help all of you achieve your dreams and get closer to the dreams that you have. Thank you.
Great, thanks for sharing, both of you. Still, we have an application expert, an underwriting expert here today to help you with all your questions. So if you haven't yet answered the questions through the poll, this is your 5-second warning, which isn't too long, so please answer now. The questions just ask a little bit more about where you're from, what your degree is, and a few other standard questions, but I'm ending it now. I'm going to share the results out as well. So today it looks like most of our participants are from Africa, strong 70%. Great to have you here. We also have strong representation from East Asia and South and Southeast Asia. No one from the Pacific, but it looks like we have every other area of the globe represented for a truly global live session today. Welcome, everyone. Where are you in your study abroad journey? A really, really interesting mix. It seems about 31% are considering studying abroad who haven't applied yet. 17% have been conditionally accepted by their school or have applied. 45% have been accepted to study. Congratulations. And last 8% are currently enrolled in a program. Welcome, everyone. And then in terms of what degree you're pursuing, no surprises. 69% are master's students, 14% are bachelors, 11% are MBAs, 3% are PhD, and we have some others in there as well, but it looks like mostly master students with some other degree types thrown in there. And then finally, majors, equal representation really between business and STEM, a little bit stronger in STEM, 43%, business and management, 26%, some arts and literature, and a lot of other. And then last, have you applied for an Mpower loan? We're split down the middle. 50% have at least started an application, and it looks like 50% have not. So a really diverse group today. Awesome. I'm going to stop sharing that. Great. So for anyone that just joined, I see there are a few. Please drop your questions in the Q&A field and someone will get back to you either in the chat or we'll answer the question live throughout the session. Typically in these sessions, we have about 20 minutes of content or so where we review something together, and the remaining section is just for your questions. So that'll be in a moment. But for now, I'm going to actually turn it over to Shuba, who's going to take everyone through the first few pages of our application. And then Rini, I'll jump in with some questions as I see in the chat, and Rini will jump in with some tips if she has them as we go through it. But Shuba, over to you.
Oh, all right. All right, guys. So I would love to take you through the steps in the application process. So typically there are 1 to 9 steps in the application process while you are submitting an application. So it is to fill out your eligibility, then your basic information, then school and employment, then comes your financial information, and then is the ID and verification. So let me take you through each step individually. So first is for you guys to log into the Mpower homepage, and there is an option called Apply Now. So click on the Apply Now button, and it will take you to the next page wherein you have 5 options where you can choose if you're thinking about studying or you already have applied or conditionally approved, or you've been accepted to study, or you're currently enrolled. And we also have an option for refinancing as well with Mpower. So you can choose either of these options, and then you can select the option on how did you hear about us, and then go to the next page. This will take you to our eligibility page, where you basically need to give the information about your university, which university you're applying for, the school, the degree which you applied for, and when would be your expected graduation date. So this is something which we see, usually that they, applicants tend to give the graduation date of their previous, course completed. So this is something about the graduation where you're expected to graduate after you complete your course in this particular university. So this is the future graduation date. Then you give in your name details, your email ID, your phone number, your citizenship country. And next page would be the details about your loan requested amount. So how much is the loan you require? So that is the amount which you need to be giving. And then it is for which period you want to apply. So you can choose if you're applying for the entire academic period, whether it's for fall 2022 or for spring 2023. right? So you can give those periods here. And we typically accept applications 1 year prior. So you can apply for your, next year right away, right? So we accept applications 1 year prior. Then you do your, check box where you're giving consent. And then the next page would be, it will let you know if you're eligible based on the details which you provided on the previous page. Then you give in your basic details, your name, your country, and your current immigration status, whether you already have a visa for United States or you have a social security number. In case you have, you can provide them here. And next would be your personal details, where you given your date of birth, your passport number. So that's something which you need to provide on this page. And next would be your contact information, if you have any other additional email or phone number. And also with Mpower, you also have the option to select your preferred mode of communication. Some people may be comfortable with phone, some people may be email, or some people are okay with either of it. And also your time zone, right? So you can block in your preferences saying that this is the time I want to be contacted, right? So based on your requirement, we will reach out to you during that time and that mode of communication. And then you provide your permanent address. So this is your address, which is your home country address in case you are an international student. And if you are United States student, you can give in your address. So this is the address which you can provide with the details. And also you can mention if this is your current address. So if you mention it is your current address, that will get automatically updated on your current address as well. And then there are 2 consent forms which you need to sign for your telephone protection and electronic signature. So you'll have to agree to this and move on to the next page. So this is the page where you give in your current details. So that is in detail, you give which course you're enrolled to, which major you're enrolled, whether it's a dual degree program or whether it is a STEM program. And we also have options for your, if you are a transfer student, you can let us know much earlier that you are a transfer student, so that, we understand that, you are transferring from one school to another, and your credits will be transferred to the new school. So we are aware of that in prior. And also your program start date, right? Your program start date and your expected graduation date is something which defines whether your application will move forward. Because as you know, the eligibility criteria, one of the eligibility criteria is that you must be within 2 years of graduating, right? So these are some things which will make it easier for your application to flow if correct details are provided, so that we don't go back and forth asking when would you be graduating or is this your start date, right? So if you're more specific there, it will help you. And if you are already enrolled and have a GPA, please go ahead and mention your GPA here as well. And then next is your enrollment status. That is if you're in first year or you're going to start your first semester, second semester, right? So you can mention that here as well. And your program type, whether it's online, combined, or offline. So you can click these 3 or one of these options here. And then your previous educational information, the course which you completed before enrolling for this particular university, you can provide those details here. And if you have a GPA system, you can definitely mention your GPA here as well. And the next option is for your test scores. So we have the standardized test score and your language scores. So you have the option to select one of them from here. So if it is not required by the university which you are enrolled, so you can click on not required. And if it is waived by your university, you can click the option as waived. And in case it is waived, it is always better to provide a supporting document when you're applying saying it is waived. So that is something which we will look into. So you can provide those as well. And if you don't have anything, you can provide as not required. And the next page that will take you is for your employment information. So if you have any previous employment information, you can go ahead and fill these forms, and also let us know if there are any countries which you're authorized to work as well. And if you have any internship offer, you can mention them there as well. And your employment history, how much of work experience you have, you can mention those here. So when you fill in these details, then would be the next step, which is the most important step, where you provide what is the funds which you require, what are you requiring from Mpower, right? So this is the financial section, which is the expenses you incur over an academic year. So an academic year can be spring and fall together. You might have summer, spring, fall, winter, depending on the university which you're enrolled. So just keep in mind, it is for an academic year and not for a single semester. So when you provide it for a single semester, it will automatically calculate for 2 semesters, which is your entire academic year. So, I mean, as you're aware, we also include your cost of living. You can, take a loan for cost of living as well from Mpower, depending on the university. So you need to fill in the details of your tuition cost for the academic year, your house and living, that is food, transportation for the academic period, and your other additional expenses which are not listed, which are not part of living housing, can also be included, and how many semesters you have until you graduate. So do you have 1 semester, 2 semester, 4 semesters, right? So you can mention all of these here. So when you put in the details, the amount would get automatically calculated here. And the next would be if you have any funding sources, right? So in addition, so Mpower will look at the entire funding you require to complete your course. So if you have any additional funding sources, whether it can be personal funding, family funding, scholarships, so anything you have, you can provide the details here. And if you have any other additional sources, you can go ahead and provide the details here. And so this will give you the calculation of how much is the attendance, how much funding sources are available, and how much funds do you need from Mpower. So this is the detailed snapshot of whatever you have filled, the amount which you required, which you filled in the beginning, in the section, the first page, then your academic year which you selected, and this will calculate the calculation which you have provided. And then if you have any other debt, right? If you have to declare any other debt which you have, you can click on this option. You can, if you have, you can click yes and give in the details, or else you can give no. And then there are a couple of declarations which you will have to agree. So one is the Truth in Lending Act, which you need to acknowledge, and then your credit report authorization for credit pull. So you need to acknowledge that as well. And when you submit that, so this will be the last step for you to click on submit. And the next step will give you the review and submit page. So you have the option before you submit. So whatever details you have submitted, you can click on each of it. And if you have to edit anything after you have filled all of this, you can go and edit it here. And also another thing for you to move forward is a mandatory ID which needs to be uploaded. So it is usually preferred for you to upload your passport so that it gives in all the details. So you will have to mandatorily go and upload an ID and accept the MLA disclosure. And once you accept this and submit, your application would be submitted. I mean, it could look longer the way I am explaining, but this would not take you more than, within 30 minutes, you can be done with all of these, right? So these are the basic details which you need to submit an application. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post it in the Q&A and you can ask, and I would be happy to answer these questions for you.
Thanks so much, Shuba. So for those that joined while she was going through the application, just to summarize, the application itself starts with an eligibility check. Our chat moderator will post a link to our eligibility check and our application in the chat for you shortly. And so that eligibility check takes about 60 seconds, and that's how you can figure out if you can apply for a loan or not. You'll figure out you're eligible, or it'll tell you if you have any gaps that mean that we're not the right product for you. After that 60-second eligibility, it's the rest of the pages that Shuba just showed you. There's 4 sections. One wants to know your basic information. One asks about your education history. We have financial info, and Shuba, what did I forget? That's 3. You might be muted.
Your employment.
There we go. I'm like, brain fail quickly right when I needed it. So those are the 4 sections in addition to eligibility check. And then once you submit it, you are basically done for a little bit. But Rini, since once the application is submitted, it goes to you and your team, which I'm sure is really exciting for everyone here. Can you tell our participants in our webinar today just some basic tips about what they should do when filling out the application, or things they should keep in mind when filling out an application from your perspective?
Absolutely. So thank you, Shuba, for the detailed application process there. And I think she covered most of it. The best approach to have your decision quickly is to give us the accurate information and the documents supporting those information, right? So also, I'll just go section by section. On the basic info section, if you could give us your permanent address correctly and supporting document, whichever is mentioned on the dashboard. Once you have submitted the opportunity, there's a list of documents that you can submit to us, which would expedite the decision and get you a result sooner. On the basic info section, even before the document check happens, there is an initial check of eligibility that happens, automated and manual, to understand the eligibility of your application based on the information that you have given us. So you might receive a conditional offer from us based on the application, and then you have the ability to submit the documents. Or we might need some more information before we could give you the decision, and that might be the final decision that we would be giving out once you give us the document for the additional information that we have sought. Now, so after we have moved across the initial stage of the check, that's when we do the document checks, and every information that you have stated on your application, if there's a supporting document for that, we would be able to help you with a decision as soon as possible. Now, another tip that I would like to give you on the school information would be to identify if your program is STEM or non-STEM program from the school, which please let me know if you have any questions on the definition of what a STEM program is. And moving ahead, if you could give us the correct information about your program start date and the anticipated program end date for the current program that you're applying for with Mpower. Okay, so that's on the school front, and you can apply with us for 50,000 per academic term, but for the academic year you can apply for more than 50,000, but that would be into separate applications maybe. So whenever you apply with us for a term, I request you to wait for a response from us. You will hear from us as soon as possible, and then if you have any more requirement for the same term, then we can go ahead and review the application. But you also have an ability to make any loan amount change request during the course of the application process. However, you will not be able to make or edit your application on the website, but you can always reach out to your relationship manager for any changes that you would want to make to your application. 2 things that I would like to bring up here is, say you have already filled in your permanent address, right? And you see, okay, there is a change to the address that needs to be made. During further down the process, you would get a chance to make, update us with that information. Similarly, for the funds that you had stated during the application process, you can let us know if there's any change in the funds, if there's any increase, any decrease, and we would do our best to see what we can do to help you out there. So any edits? So those are the few things that I would like to mention. And please, I do request you to go through the dashboard before you upload the documents. All the required documents have been listed there. And as close as the documents are to the requirements, the quicker the decision will be.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks so
that's
much,
all.
Rini. Those are a lot of amazing tips. In your experience, what's the number one most common mistake people make?
So we receive a lot of applications where, all the financial information might be right, okay, but we might just miss out on the correct proof for the address, right? And the second one that we have, sorry, you just asked me one, but I have a couple of more with me.
Got me,
Sorry.
sure.
Yeah. So if it helps you guys, so the second thing that we have is whenever you mention a funding source, which is not your personal saving or personal wages, you're taking help from your family, friends, or other sponsors. Some of the documents that we usually miss is the support letter that is required from them, or an ID that is missing on this front, right? So those are the two documents which usually are, we wouldn't want to delay the process there, but that's a requirement. So if you could give us that at the submission, that will be great as well. And the third one is for those who are already, I'm sorry.
That's great. It's exactly what I wanted. Keep going.
Sorry. So the third one is for those students who are already enrolled in the program and are looking for loan for their future semesters or their current semester or their past balances, right? So we support all the students here. So in such cases, please do submit your transcript if it is available with you, if you have grades. Along with that, the school invoice, just for us to understand where do you stand and how much help would you need from Ireland.
Great.
That's about
it. Sure, there's not a fourth one. I'm sure there is somewhere, but just to reiterate for everyone here, for the base, our application has a few different chunks or sections to it. One is just, as Shuba shared, 30 minutes of basically giving us the same information you needed to apply for school. We're just asking for it for the loan application. It takes about 30 minutes or so. Then once it's submitted, we'll ask you for supporting documentation for any claims made in the process. So if you said, hey, I have this money from mom, we'll eventually ask you to prove you have that money from mom. And so that's really what Rini was talking about when she's speaking through documents, is those supporting documents sometimes don't always match up. But we've gone through just sort of our regular content and we're luckily right on time, which is great. So we're going to open it up to questions from the audience now. So if you haven't yet posted some questions in the Q&A field, please go ahead and drop some in. It can be about our application, or it can be about anything that Mpower or our two panelists can speak to, or even me if you want to ask about scholarships. But let's see, what's a great first question? I see a few questions about test scores. So Shuba, do people need to submit their test scores with the application?
So I think I see the question for Canada students, it is not required, but for US students, if your university requires, right, if there is a requirement from your university that you need to submit your test scores, you will need to provide us with the test scores. But if it is not required, like I said, if it is waived, you need to submit the waiver. And if it is not required from the university, you can just click not required. So that we will not require and will not come back to you for test scores.
And Rini, if it's not required, do you recommend people include their test scores, or is there a good reason to add test scores if it's not needed to the application?
Yeah, so there are, like I said, there are certain criteria that we would look at. The more information we have about you, the better the prospects of the application. So if you have a test score, you have taken a test, please do submit those during your submission. However, our systems are quite equipped to let you know which documents are required, which are optional, and which are not required as well, based on the information that you fill in. So if you feel that the optional documents can make your application stronger, please go ahead and upload those documents.
So if I see a few questions as well about just pricing and how much money to request. So Shuba, how much money can someone request through Mpower's loan for school?
Sure. Per application, per academic year, the maximum they can borrow is $50,000. So if they need additional funding, they can go ahead and submit another application. So per application, per academic year, the maximum is 50,000. If they need for multiple years, they can submit another application. So overall, the maximum they are eligible for Mpower is $100,000.
Great. And then Rini, what can that money be used for?
So you can use it for your tuition and fees, book and supplies. You can use it for your health insurance, housing, meal, transportation. So all of these funds get disbursed to the school, and the school would decide how they can use and help you with that.
Great. And so I see someone here having some issues with the financial section of the application. Shuba, maybe we can share your screen real quick for that financial section page, if that's possible, and just walk everyone through again, if they're, since seeing some red. So maybe we can just walk through that quickly since I see actually multiple questions about the financial section of the app. Awesome.
Yeah. Yes. So this is the financial section. So here you will put in your estimated tuition cost. So the cost which is required per academic year. So this is where you'll put in the dollars. Suppose your tuition cost is around, for example, $35,000. So you put the $35,000 here. So here you'll put in the cost of living. So, suppose your cost of living, including food, transportation is around $10,000, right? So you put in the $10,000. And if there are any other expenses which are not listed, you can put in the details here, and you will have to put in your semesters until you graduate. So if you have 3 semesters until you graduate, or 4 semesters, right? So this will give you an entire cost. So when putting this, just keep in mind, as I mentioned, 50,000 is the maximum you can borrow per academic period, and $100,000 is for the entire lifetime. So suppose your funds required, right? So it's around $100,000 is what you need to complete your course. And for this particular semester, 50,000 is what Mpower can provide you. And here, the funding details, right? So suppose in case it exceeds the limit what Mpower can provide, so you will need to provide additional funding to support the amount. So in case, right, so the cost of attendance and everything together is $120,000, and Mpower can support through lifetime is $100,000. So there is a $20,000 which you need to provide proof of if you have not listed. So in that case is when the application will not move forward, because there is a difference of $20,000 in your application, which is not shown on your funding as well. So that is the reason you're not able to move ahead. So it should be within the limits, or you should need additional funding to cover that up. So if exceeds the limit, it will not move forward. So that could be the reason that the application is not moving forward.
So much.
Sorry, Claire, just to add on to that, so we have a minimum limit as well to which you can apply. So the minimum that you can apply for is $2,001, and the maximum is $50,000. So the cost that you put in would also impact the information that you would be, or the amount that you would be required.
Great. So what I'm hearing essentially is if someone's having some trouble with that page, it's typically a gap of some sort where they need more money. Is that right? It's typically, I see some nods. Yeah. Are there any common simple mistakes that people make on the financial page?
Go
ahead, Rini, sorry.
Sorry, I'll take that. So all the funds that we require are in USD, that is United States dollars. So if you are filling in the amount in any other currency, then we might have a positive response in the beginning, but we might not have a positive response later. So it's always better to convert your denominations to USD and then enter those in the application as well.
And if you're having trouble figuring out some of this information, I believe all schools promote or share this information about their tuition expenses, the cost of living, and so on. And so you can look to your school to get those numbers if you're unsure today about that. Similarly, I have several people that want to change their application or the amount they requested on their application. So if they want to make changes to the amount requested after submitting, either of you, what should they do if they need to request more money or reduce that? I was not helpful. I just said both of you. Someone jump in, sorry.
So, okay, I can take that. You can reach out as soon as you submit your application. A relationship manager is assigned to you. You can, who's always there to help you with throughout the application, the disbursement, and later as well. So any changes or edit requests that you have for the application or the loan amount change request, you can reach out to your relationship manager, and they would forward your request to the underwriting team, and we will take it from there.
So how do they figure out who their relationship manager is, Shuba?
So you will, so as soon as you submit an application, right? So within a week's time, you will receive an email from your relationship manager introducing themselves to you, that they are your relationship manager. And in case, right, you can also write to us at empower.me if you have any queries before they reach out. And when they send in an email, they will also send you a link of their personal OneHub link where you can also schedule calls with them. So you can click and block your time there with the relationship manager, and they will reach out to you as well.
Great. And more questions. This is a fun one. After your loan is approved, what's next? Maybe Rini, that's a good one for you.
Absolutely. So once the loan is approved, there are two stages to that as well. There's a support letter, which you can use for your visa interviews to let them know that you have the financial support from Mpower. And once we receive the final piece of document, that is the USCIS document, you get the approval till from us. That is approval letter from the credit team, post which this information is sent to the school, which we call the school certification process, wherein the school confirms the amount that is required by the student to successfully graduate, or that is required in the current semester for several things that we mentioned before. Once the certification has been received, we go ahead and schedule the disbursement based on the period for which you have applied with us for. And do not worry, before you start your sessions, you will have the funds disbursed to the school. Oh, sorry, I missed one point there. Sorry about that. So you will also get a final P-note, a promissory note from the from a team downstream, funds of our team, which would mention all the details of the agreements, and that will give you more detailed information about this credit facility. Yeah.
So what is a P-note, Rini? And you said approval till, and I think you said P-note. Can you define them for the audience?
Yes. So approval till is the truth in lending document, which mentions your loan that is approved, the period for which it is approved, what would be your repayment terms, what would be your repayment interest, what would be the interest only term that you would be paying for, when would you start your repayments, that is including the principal and interest. So all of this information you will get in the approval till that is sent to you from the credit team. Post that, after the certification process, you get a P-note, which will have your application information that you had filled in. It also has a credit agreement, which tells you your rights and how you can use this facility, and about the rights, the consumer rights that you have, and also the information that I mentioned before about your repayment schedule, your repayment structure, the amount that you would have to pay, including the principal and the interest.
Great. Thank you so much. So Shuba, is there ever a time that someone should submit another application versus reaching out to the relationship manager to edit something? Is there ever a time where that makes sense?
So because starting a new application, it will again start a new funnel for you. So in case you want to make changes, you can definitely reach out to your relationship manager. And if there's any edit that needs to be made, it is better if it can be done on the same application rather than a new application, because it will have to go through all the stages again in the funnel. And that will be again duplicate for somebody to reach out to you. Is it a duplicate application? So there is a lot of back and forth which happen. So if there's any information change, if it is a finance information, you can definitely submit another financial plan template with the additional finance information, and we can have that uploaded to your application as well. Unless and until it is like a citizenship change or a university change, which definitely requires a new application, but which is within the same application limits, it is better you can reach out to the relationship manager and we can help you with the same application.
Awesome. So generally, Rini, I think you're about to say the same thing as me. It does not make sense to almost ever submit a new application for the same period. It's much easier and faster for us to change it for you. It also saves you time filling out 2 loan applications. That does not sound fun necessarily. But yes, moving us along. I think someone else just asked something we addressed recently, which is how to figure out who a relationship manager is. And what Shuba shared was that if you've submitted your application, you should get an email from them and you can reach back out. If you haven't yet submitted an application, you can use our contact form to just reach out and get some support. And our chat moderator can post that contact us form in the chat if you're too early to have a relationship manager assigned to your application. And then let's see, what's the next good question for everyone? I-20s. So Rini, if someone hasn't gotten their I-20 yet, do they need to do anything, or can you talk a little bit about visa support letters, I-20, what that process looks like from our side or from their side?
Absolutely. So once we have reviewed all the documents, like I said, we give out a support letter, a support letter, which you can use as a funding source for your visa interviews. Now, we understand because we allow students to apply well in advance, almost 1 year in advance for any future semesters. We understand that there might be delays in getting their I-20s, and we have taken a consideration for that. We keep your application and approval active until the term you have applied for, and some more days after that as well. So once we receive the I-20, only after we'll be able to send you a final approval. That's true, but we do not expire your application or forgo the information that you have already put in for us.
Great. And then as a follow-up question, if someone is having trouble with visa interviews, can they defer their loan?
Okay, I'll take that. Yes, absolutely, you can. like I mentioned, you have 12 months to defer your loan to a subsequent loan period or a subsequent academic term. We understand there are difficulties considering the situation that we have been, and we have been considerate about that. And you can reach out to your RF relationship manager, and they would help you walk through the process for this change. Once the till has been, the approval till that I mentioned before has been accepted.
Great. And then Shuba, do we have prepayment penalties, or can someone pay more money up front if they want?
Yes. So the good news is, yes, we do not have any prepayment penalties. So they can, they can definitely pay more than what they want to. This will definitely reduce their balance, and there is definitely no prepayment penalty for that. Great.
And then Rini, I have a really fun question. I have a lot of questions about interest rates. Can you, and when that applies, can you just walk us through when interest starts accruing and how that works at Mpower?
Sure. So once the disbursement has happened. That means that the funds have reached you. The interest accrual starts on a daily basis, which is again based on the number of days in a month, would be multiplied to that, and that would be the amount that will be that you would be paying for. So yeah, you'll be making a monthly repayment. That is only for the interest only period. That is until you graduate plus 6 months. You would only be making a set amount based on the interest rate that you were approved at. Post that, once you have completed your grace period, you will start paying the principal amount along with the interest rate as well.
Yeah,
Did
just
I
to
answer?
just to
Yeah.
add on to Rini, I think the first payment starts around 20 to 30 days after the loan is disbursed. And as Rini said, until you graduate, in 6 months after you graduate, the grace period, you make interest only payments. And after that, you start making interest plus principal.
So do students pay interest on everything they requested or just money that's dispersed?
So just the money that is disbursed. So if they approved for 40,000 and they are requesting only 20,000 for this term, so they only pay on the 20,000 plus the 5% charges, which only that is what they pay. And if they are going to be dispersing the next 20,000 after 3 months, that is when the interest will be accruing for the next 30,000 in addition to what is already disbursed.
Great. So Rini, this person wants to know, why do we need an I-20?
All right. So I-20 is a formal invitation from the school for you, which confirms that you have enough funds to cater to the cost that you might incur and successfully complete your graduation. Right. So it's an information that we receive from the school, and also an immigration document that confirms your immigration status with us, and would help us make decisions in your and the school's interest.
Great. And then Rini, follow up. I heard my own voice reflected back at me. Sorry. So can my past credit history hinder my application being approved, or how does Mpower use past credit history in loan decisions?
Well, we have a certain set of rules that we do look at. We do not need the credit score, or a credit history mandatorily. But if you have one, we do look at a certain set of information there to understand how have you been working on the credit facilities that you have available so far. What has been your experience there as well, so that we can help you better and also see if you'll be able to help you at all.
Great. And then Shuba, I have some people here who have mentioned they've applied for Mpower and they're still waiting to hear back from us. Can you talk a little bit more about our process times and if there's anything they need to do, or is it just wait?
Sure. So if you've applied for a loan with us, we will definitely reach out to you. Currently, because of the volume, there is a slight delay in responding to you guys, but we will definitely reach out to all of you guys. But if there's any urgency and if there's any deadline which you guys are approaching, you can definitely write to us, and we will definitely make sure that we provide you with an update as to what is the current status of the application. And if there's any expedite which is required, we will definitely expedite to make sure that you meet your deadlines.
And just to reiterate for anyone that joined late, how do you expedite?
So they can let us know that they have an urgency that that they need to attend to. So when they write an email to the relationship manager, we will get it expedited with the underwriting team that there's a deadline that needs to be met, and there is a hurry from the applicant's end. We will reach out to the underwriting, and the underwriting will review it and give us a decision within 24 to 48 hours, as much early as possible, so that we have the applicant meet the deadline and they get a support letter or loan offer which is required.
So just to reiterate some points that will answer some questions I'm seeing that we reviewed earlier. One is that you can apply for a loan up to 12 months before your program starts. So it pays to start early, so you're not rushing at the end. So if you're able to apply early, please feel free. As soon as you've applied to your program, you can start the loan application with us. As soon as you've applied to certain schools, you can start a loan application. If you need to change your school later on, just reach out rather than starting a new application for every new school. So you can reach out to us at any point. We'll change your information in your application. That being said, if you're reaching a deadline and you need something done quickly on your application because school's about to start or something else has happened or you need some action from Mpower, you can reach out to our contact us form if you don't know who your relationship manager is, or if you do, check your inbox. You can respond back to them and we'll expedite whatever is needed for you to make sure that you're successful for whatever you need the money for. So that's just a quick summary. Shuba, Rini, I'd love to hear from you. If you wanted everyone here just to remember one thing when filling out the application, what's one thing that you'd want our audience to take away today? What's one item? And maybe I'll start with Shuba.
Sure. I think one thing is to provide the details, review the details which they're providing. To be specific about the loan start dates and end dates, any financial information that is provided, right? So just before you submit, just take a minute back to see the details which you have provided. And if you have any questions in between while filling up the application as well, you can reach out to us. Also, there is an FAQ section which is there on the Mpower page, which provides you more details of any queries that you could have, right, on each stage. So you can also review that before you fill in the application. And if you can also reach out to us and we will be able to help you, right? So just make sure that the details which you are provided, because that will reduce your time as well for back and forth, so that all the details and documents as well, right? So each document section has a write-up which is there as to what is required. So if you can just spend few seconds reading what is there on the required template, that would be helpful for you to just look at it and submit the documents. So the sooner you submit the documents, the sooner the loan offer would be yours. So that's something which I want to add.
And I think the advice for our FAQ is really great. We have a detailed online portal that actually walks everyone through everything on our application. And so maybe our chat moderator can drop a link to our support portal in the chat for everyone to review. But it's a really great resource for anyone currently filling out an application. And then Rini, same question. If you had to leave people only with one piece of advice, what is that one piece of advice that you want people to take home from today?
Absolutely. I think Shuba covered it all, but if I have to, concisely say that, just have the documents that you supporting the information that you have stated on your application, and trust me, you'll be through.
Yeah, so we get a lot of questions about documents, and essentially the documents are just supporting what you said in the application. So if you said you have a herd of zebra and elephant and a wild pack of animals that are supporting your loan application, we need a bank statement saying they own the bank account and have the money. If you say that something crazy and you have it and it's helping with your education, we just need some official document saying that's real. Same thing for transcripts in any document. So essentially, when you're filling out the application, whatever you're saying in it, we'll eventually ask for some supporting evidence to be like, okay, that's real. And so there shouldn't be too many surprises on the application because the documents we request directly match what you said in the application. It's just verification on our side. One final tip from me is I hear a lot about this from our team. Make sure the name you use in the application matches the name on your ID. So I see some faces, yeah. So it's a really simple thing that can actually hold you back a little bit. So just double check that the name you're using on your application matches the documentation. When the documentation doesn't match the application, that's when everything gets slowed down for us because we need to settle back and forth with you. But so final questions to you, Shuba, and to you, Rini. Why do you think Mpower is the best product for international students? And I'll start with Shuba again. Or why do you recommend Mpower?
Sure. I think, as you know, that we do not look at credit score, right? So that's something which we do not look at, and also no collateral and no co-signers, right? I mean, I being from one of the countries that is India, where you need a collateral or co-signer for anybody to apply for a student loan, right? And also everything is completely online, right? You need not go into a bank, back and forth traveling, and all of those things can be avoided, right? It's absolutely online. You can reach out to us from any part of the world, and we only look at the potential of the student, right? So that is the basic thing which we look at to approve a loan. So we do not look at collateral or co-signers. So we are totally dependent on the potential of the students, and we want to see students excel, right? So that is something which Mpower looks for. And I mean, I've been very happy to be part of this organization.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Shuba. And so Rini, same question. Why do you believe in Mpower? Why does Mpower have the best product?
Sure. So just to add on to Shuba, it's just not the financial support that Mpower provides to the students, right? So when you go into a new country, we have certain restrictions. You need to have a credit history before you can get a loan locally in that country. However, Mpower does not need that. And not only that, it helps you build credit in the country that you're going to, right? It helps you get many other facilities that is required for you to survive or sustain the living in the country. And just moving on after the completion of your program, we are still here for you to help you get support in getting employment in the country once you have graduated. We have a team called Path to Success, which helps the students, walks them through a lot of processes, resume building, interview prep, and conduct mock interviews. You have one-to-one sessions. So you can reach out to us even after you have graduated. And during the course of your course, we are here anyways to support you financially. So yeah, those are my 2 points. I'm just adding on to what Shuba said. She's covered it pretty much.
The next time we do this, Rini, I'm gonna start asking for a half point so I get 1. Or I'll ask for 1 and hope for 3, but there was really great insights. Thank you. So thanks again to everyone that's joined us for this live session today. I admit this is the first time we've tried doing an application walkthrough live. So we'll send out a survey after this. Please let us know if you want to see more of these, more deeper, detailed versions, what would be helpful, what other sessions you want to see in our live sessions. And we'd love to hear more from you. Next week, we have a session specifically talking about our Nova Credit partner and how Mpower leverages credit history and credit during the application. So if you want to sign up, you can go to our website and sign up for next week. We're hosting these live sessions all summer. So your feedback is essential to make sure that we host the sessions that are important to you. So thanks again, everyone. If you see in the chat, our chat moderator has posted the links from today. Please save them so you can review everything you might need when applying for a loan application. And otherwise, thank you so much, Shuba. Thank you, Rini, for joining us. It was great having you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So if you still have questions that we didn't get to, we'll hold on for a few minutes and see how many we can answer. And otherwise, check out our support portal or reach out to us in our contact us form. But thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Peace.
Sure.